the false dichotomy, the fight they wanna sell, a trap to keep us blind while truths are living well. I argue for reality with facts that stand so tall, but they dismiss my reason and build a higher wall. The debunkers point and laugh, they name me what I'm not, in that game of tribes and clouds, my clarity's forgot. Cursed by rhetoric, I'm bound to see too far. My words are sharp as starlight, but they don't know who we are. In a world of noise and labels, I'm shouting to be heard. Cursed by rhetoric, I'm tethered to the word. No ethos in their eyes, I'm a stranger to their trust. My arguments turn to ashes, my voice returns to dust. They cling to their divisions, their battles prearranged, while I'm chasing something deeper, a truth that's never changed. Like Jesus with the logos, I speak to set things right, but the crowd cries heretic, and they snuff out the light. In life the mobs are howling, their memes outrun my plea, a cycle of dismissal, no one hears the real me. I argue words not flat, yet their label loops again, a paradox of reason, where truth becomes my chain. But logos is my fire, it burns through all their lies. I'll keep on asking questions till clarity survives. Cursed by rhetoric, I'm bound to see too far. My words are sharp as starlight, but they don't know who we are. In a world of noise and label, I'm shouting to be heard. Cursed by rhetoric, I'm tethered to the word. I weave my words with patience, find bridges where I can, a question, not a sermon, to reach the heart of man. I'll sidestep all their labels with humor and with grace, and plant a seed of reason in this distracted place. For truth's a quiet journey, through arguments we roam, with logos as my guide, I'll find my way back home. So call me what you will, I'll still seek what is true. The word's my steady anchor, and I'll keep breaking through. Cursed by rhetoric, I'll bear this heavy load, for truth's the path I'm walking, and logos lights the road.
that. And yeah, we are live again. Only for a mess around, right? Everybody knows all of this stuff's coming to an end. So basically we're going to go over some stuff. I guess it's like a rundown of what's going on in the community at the minute. Call it a community if you will. We've always been the outliers. Everybody knows that we here on the level, we are the outliers of this community, if there ever was a community. And they'll tell you that there isn't a community around here anyway. Just fighting for reality, right? To go talk about it. Now, don't tell Nathan Oakley, right? Because it's his main thing at the minute. But the measured flat, it's a load of shit. It's nonsense. Everybody around him knows it as well. So basically there's an argument that sort of sums up what we've been talking about all this time in this arena. That there's a reality that exists, and there's something within that reality that tells you it's not flat. Dead simple. Whether it be mountains or measurements to lights in the sky or however you want to do it. It's definitely not flat. Dead simple. Now, I think we did the last couple of shows that we've done have been around the 69 miles. That's it's just a distance that, you know, anybody can measure in reality, providing you've got a map, scale map, big enough. Normally about 1 to 100,000, something like that. That'd sort of deal with the measurement, and you can sort of put a ruler on a map, then scale ruler, and you can measure 69 miles on a map. Points of equal altitude or whatever you want to call it. You know how maps work. Just a straight line from one point to another, and that's like a distance. It would be called a horizontal distance. Dead easy. You'll not get many people trying to deny that. So if that's provable in reality, and you can do that, anyone can do that. Put a map on a ruler. Put a ruler on a map. Who can't do that? People can put rulers on pictures. They can do all sorts of stuff, particularly in this arena. I've seen people drawing, putting rulers on pictures, and measuring distances. So I don't see why you can't put a ruler on a map and say that distance is a horizontal distance. But the problem is there's like a mathematical principle that goes along with it, that you can measure an angle. I don't know how many people have done this. Measure an angle, providing you're Polaris privileged, you can measure an angle to a light in the sky. It's dead simple. Like, you can do it. I can do it. I have done it. Anybody can do it. You know, I'm not like some people who say that other people have to do it for them. Well, you can do it yourself. I have. I'll be one of those people that, you know, point out that you can actually go outside your house and measure an angle to a light in the sky, providing you can see Polaris. But even if you can't see Polaris, you can measure an angle to a light in the sky. There's a brilliant app you can get on your mobile phone, a theodolite app, and that'll allow you to measure angles yourself. You don't need to be getting protractors and straws and sticking plumb bobs with little rocks on protractors. You just get an app on your phone. I mean, it costs a bit, but I mean, you want to be part of the the crowd that has measured it or the crowd that hasn't measured it. I mean, it's up to you. But this is how you get what we call a posteriori proof, is through experience. So if you've never actually measured an angle, you shouldn't really be discussing it. You know, make sure you've actually measured an angle before you want to start implementing it into an argument. And that's where we're at. Pointing out that you can measure 69 miles on a map, and you can measure that 90 times, and that'll give you a distance. Now, if you say that's a horizontal distance, yeah, you could if you wanted to, but it would give you a distance of 6,210 miles. Really simple. And since we all know that the equator has a number attached to it, 24,000, around about 24,901.7 miles, there or thereabouts. I've been taught that. Since you know these two things, you should know mathematically that, you know, pi has to be 2 for you to have both of those to be true in reality. That's just how it is. So any way you want to justify it, that's what you have to do. You have to work some way to put these numbers together into reality. And I'd suggest that flat earthers can't do it. There's not many people that can, actually. I mean, but that, you know, reality dictates that these are the this is what we've got. Now, it's definitely not flat because of these things, and obviously you can observe it being not flat. So there's ways for you to be able to derive proofs within reality to deal with it. There is an argument. It's very advanced in the fact that it comes in the form of 2 modus tollens joined together to give well, it's sort of like they work on the back of each other. It's called the destructive dilemma, but we call it the measured flat destructive dichotomy. And Elderbear, it's his first introduction into argument making. And what an experience. That's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with simple arguments, but you know, this is a little bit more advanced because the concepts and the mathematical reasoning, it involves a fair bit of geometric thinking that most people aren't really ready for in this arena. I mean, it's fine for people to have said for, years, you don't understand this and you don't understand this, and, such and such a person is our expert. But I've been asking people and there isn't anyone. There's no experts on this anywhere. It just doesn't exist. There's I don't know. I would suggest that there's not many people able to live in the. It's a diletheist world, right? That we actually live in. There are contradictions, true contradictions, and I'm guessing that certain people have to have a way of dealing with it. I was introduced to diletheism by Brenda, of all people. And it's been pretty apparent that it has to be. There's no other way. That's the way reality is. So how do you deal with it? Well, you've got to be able to talk about it and discuss it. Most of the conversations get shut down. People are too scared to talk about it because they've already decided they're living within a false dichotomy. Now, these may sound like, fancy words or whatever, but they're all linked to logic, reasoning, pretty simple stuff. And this arena is purported to be that sort of thing. That's what people supposedly are after. Now, I've always said somebody in the Discord live chat there. Oh no, that wasn't somebody in a different Discord. Let me get this clip. I got this clip today. And I wouldn't say that I've ever considered this. I've always tried to stay pretty neutral. I consider myself an observer of the false dichotomy. Never really been involved in either side. I've tried to point that out to people, and I don't think people understand where I'm coming from, or where I have been coming from, or where I am coming from right now. But this, I'm going to play the thing in the chat here. This is from today.
You're not going to like this. I'm probably going to lose subscribers over it. I despise your average flat earther. I think most flat earthers are complete retards.
Now, Nathan Oakley's got a book to sell. And it's meant to be the reference book, the number one reference book for this topic that Nathan Oakley's picked. Supposedly an evergreen topic that he's been in for 10 years. He's banned us, so we can't actually go over there and point any of the things out to him that he's been saying, right? And I've been trying to tell people for quite a long time. And Emma, right? Emma pointed it out to me first. It was Emma that's to blame for the logic train that we're on. But it was noted a fair bit ago that there has been what we call a Flat Earth Society play being going on within this arena. Particularly from this group of flat earthers that have been in the arena for, let's say, 10 years. Involving Nathan Oakley, right? He's been in this for 10 years, and he's now considered himself the governor of flat earth. And
the king.
Yeah, he was today, wasn't
the
he?
king, no less.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said he's the king.
He's the king
of
flat earth.
Yeah, it's his community. It needs a king, needs a leader. And he's the one, yeah.
And he's dismissing everybody else. And
he's throwing them out of the kingdom. They've been exiled, sent to exile. Karen Beads, it seems, that's been sent to exile. But, I mean, his book, he said, will not be surpassed in his lifetime. Hundreds of years, he seems to think, that his book.
Yeah, he said his daughters are
going to be the reference.
Off the royalties for it.
Yes,
for years to come.
Yeah. So. Yeah. So this is his legacy to his children, it seems. This is what he's going to leave them. Because he hasn't got much on YouTube income.
Completely unaware of the fact that Flat Earth is literally crumbling under, the weight of arguments against it. I mean,
so he's either got his old 25-year-old car, a load of microphones, or the book to leave his children. So he's all in on the book at the moment, I think, for giving him an income, comfortable life, and taking care of his kids when they're grown up. Yeah, King of Flat Earth.
Yeah, because recently there's the other one as well. Let me see if I can find this. done quite a few of these.
It's amazing how many there are many people in this. I mean, he's king of the community. He ain't got a clue what's going on in his domain. He hasn't had anybody really kind of come back. He hasn't sent an emissary out to have words with, some other king or whatever, the kings of the globe or anything, and sort of get a meeting like Putin and Trump in Alaska type thing. So he's not doing that. But he doesn't seem to have a clue about what the hell's going on. And I don't know, he doesn't really encourage people to tell him anything, and it does. But I mean, there are a few who are trying to kind of get him to take his the book more seriously, I suppose. How he's going to deal with the detail. He's out there on the road with his book, having to try and teach people about the book, and somebody asks him some detail. Just he won't be able to mute them. Swearing's not going to go down well on the BBC, and it's flat. Everything's flat. He can't. It's not really going to go very far. So he's a bit short on the detail, and I think those who have written the book for him, because he doesn't. He's pretty bored. He's just sitting around and while they're writing his book and typing it out and what have you. So yeah, so they want him to represent their work, and so they should really. The amount of time they're putting into it been put off. It's on hold till September. It's Meekin, the stenographer, he's on holiday. So got to wait till September for him to come back with his typewriter and type it up as they work it out. But I mean, even Karen B.
He's the king. He's going to be
he should
the guy that should be leading, and I think that's what he is doing, right? In his own way. Nathan Oakley is leading the arena by saying,
"You're not going to like this. I'm probably going to lose subscribers over it."
Yeah,
I despise
he ticked off Karen B the last couple of days for her acknowledgement of Duffy and the coming debate with Duffy on August 23rd. He's called all the flat earthers to a debate, but even she had a stream the other day, and I went in the chat and said, "Oh, have you heard from Duffy? He's called you out and said, you represent the flat earth, and he was inviting you to come to his debate." And she hadn't got a clue either. She didn't know anything about it.
Well, that's the point, right? I think we need to point out that people have been saying to Nathan, you need to get a bit more involved, and he's obviously made himself a little bit of an echo chamber, or whether the mods around him have done that by banning people that they don't want to come in and trigger Nathan into, whatever, which has made him isolated from the very community that he's supposedly been in. We've been going around to the places that'll allow us and have conversations with them. We've been talking to as many people as we can, trying to judge people's opinions, and there seems to be conversations that aren't allowed to be had now within the flat earth community because of TFE. You're not allowed to talk about sun circles and the counter-rotating sun circles, and whether there is or isn't sun circles in the south, the very thing that TFE was. So that, first off, that was the one that became off the table. And then Nathan, obviously, he's been doing his measured flat for a bit, but that has now been taken off the table. And Nathan Oakley isn't aware that the fact that all of the other flat earthers aren't saying what Nathan Oakley says. In fact, they won't even allow the conversation for anybody to say Nathan. But Nathan says, they'll say, like, you have to be muted. You're not allowed to say that. Nathan's not here. Like, they can't defend what Nathan's saying. Because that becomes...
Yeah, that's really apparent when I kind of present the argument or put it forward to the flat earthers, and they say, well, who said that? Who said 69 miles and 1 degree? Who said there's a circle at the equator, and, when you give a names of a number of people, and if Nathan's amongst them, they get really upset and said, well, he's got no observable data, or, he's not here. We don't agree with what he's saying. Who's measured it? Who's done that? When most of those have said it, and they've said it too. Seems to be lots of people running from these claims they've been making for longer than I've been around, certainly. And that's what I've heard. People talking about this angles of Polaris, 69 miles along the ground, and it's only kind of recently that's kind of occurred that those numbers don't add up geometrically. But then they seem to be running from that and saying, no, I've never said it.
Yeah,
And trying to put it all onto me they're trying to say that
putting a ruler on a map. Like, what's up with that?
Yeah. But I mean, they're running from it, but they're also trying to put it back onto me as if it's my claim, and I'm straw manning them, and I made it all up, and that I'm the one who's saying it's 69 miles for 1 degree.
But you can. It is.
Yeah, you just said it. They said, yeah.
It is though. I mean, you can check that for yourself, and you can also put the ruler on a map and measure. Use the scale of the map to measure 69 miles and travel that distance, and measure the angle yourself. Verify it. It's dead easy to do. It's a horizontal distance measured on a map. Mathematically, it will not work. But people, I'm guessing, because it's maybe because it sounds mathematical, and some people are, they don't believe that they're any good at maths or anything. But I mean, this is simple calculations that you can put in a calculator. It may come up with answers that you can't comprehend, but that's the moment that you should be get a coming to God moment, right? You have to work out how you justify this for yourself. Most people can go through life without even worrying about it. But since the people in this arena have been shown the sun circles, and people are making claims about things that are being measured flat, that you'd think that the people that are making these claims so confidently should be able to stand up and verify them. How these impossibilities work out. Because they're the one that's claiming it.
Yeah, and as you said, Nathan seems totally unaware that this kind of chaos is happening in his kingdom. He's totally not aware, and since he's been, chucked out 24/7, I think because he doesn't have the observable data to back up his claims, and they began to think, shit, we can't say this stuff. We can't have him around here. We can't have the king coming in here
and saying Nathan said on Friday.
Yeah,
because they were controlling the crowd around him while he was in.
Yeah, they were when he was every. Yes, he was fine in those days. Yeah, he was king. The king came, and they laid out the whole thing and controlled the whole place, so the king would not be challenged. And he got into the depths of his depravity of talking to people in 24/7. He seemed to develop it in there, and so he's been the king has been put into exile in some sense, really, kicked him out so he doesn't hear what the subjects are saying. And I guess it's a bit like the politicians, who runs the country, the politicians or the king. They say they have to report to him and get him to sign the papers, but who's really pulling the strings? So poor old king is over there in his little, well, it's not a palace. He said it's not a palace. He said it's an apartment, but it's a really shitty little flat, he said. So he's over there, and he really hasn't got a clue. There have been a few people who have tried to kind of nudge him a bit, but he hasn't quite seen it.
Since he's already said that he's never measured anything or done anything like that, I'm going to invite Nathan to the Bedford level. I mean, it's a bit hard for us to get in touch with Nathan because he's banned us on just about every platform, so we can't actually communicate with Nathan Oakley. So if anybody's out there that's listening, can tell Nathan, you know, that we are going to be going to Bedford level. We'll be taking some cameras. We'll be taking an auto level. We'll be taking some plumb bobs, measuring tapes and stuff. So measurements can be taken while we are there. And we will be taking some measurements. We've got a couple of optics tests, but mainly it's to find out location and points on the vertical. We just want to dangle plumb bobs really to the water.
Yeah, it seems, you know, even sending Nathan an email would be a thankless task because he doesn't read them. He got one from Duffy this week to formally invite him to his debate, 23rd of August, and Nathan said he hadn't even bothered to read it. Why should he? So, you know, he isn't going to read an email from me, but or you, or, you know, or seemingly anybody really, unless it's got, you know, you have to put pound signs in the subject thing. So he thinks that there might be something in there, a bit of money or something.
Well, as always,
Anyway,
we will be broadcasting it to Discord, and we will be talking to people while we're there. So you can either take part in being here on the Discord, or you can come to do the actual live thing. We will try and make it a bit more known. We're not bothered. If you want to come, you can come and do the things. I'll put the suit on, and you can see whether you can see me over distance. Bring your cameras. The idea is to show people stuff that happens in reality. Now, on the proviso, right? It's not flat. Flat Earth is gone. It's dead. But Nathan, you can free to come. You know, anybody can come and have a look at this sort of stuff. We will disagree on, you know, the measurements that are being taken. We just think they're measurements being taken in reality, and you're free to assume whatever you want by the measurements. We're secure enough in our knowledge about what we're doing that it doesn't really matter what you think. We know the Earth's not flat. We know that these 69 miles can be measured on maps, and we know that 90 of them, because it's reported a linear operation, a mathematically linear operation, that every 69 miles there occurs a 1 degree change in an angle to Polaris. That's a linear operation, and 90 of those make 6,210 miles for a distance from the supposed GP of Polaris to the equator. Simple. Now, we saw Nathan Oakley the other day with Karen B going over the new twin pole flat. It isn't new because that's an 1880, wasn't it? Karen B was going over 1884, I think, that book that Karen B had with the cogs. So if anybody's heard of the twin pole cog model coming for the flat Earth, it does sound ridiculous, but I mean, we do know that reality, there's some strange things that do happen in reality. But the twin pole flat Earth impossible to explain model is just that. It's impossible to explain, so make of that what you will. And it seems that impossible to explain that nobody can even talk about it without sort of distracting off to some other sort of method of obfuscating the conversation. So the flat Earth has been left in tatters. They can't talk about the counter-rotating sun circles. They can't talk about the 69 miles measured horizontally on a map and the angle between the angle to the light in the sky being equal to your latitude, providing you can see it in Polaris. Now, I know it's been for a while, because 10th Man was telling me, he had to go at me about the Polaris being the latitude. That sort of shows that the Earth's not flat. if you need to be took through the reasoning that how that actually works to show you, well, there is like an argument been made by Elderbear that perfectly explains the problems and the complications. There are many problems and complications of the flat Earth model. We've been subtly trying to tell the flat earthers about the problems that their model induces. They didn't listen. They just called us names and you know, took us out the way. Now, we have also just been talking to a group of Globers tonight. They're one of the strangest conversations again. And that does expose the fact that there's a false dichotomy at play here that not many people are actually aware of. Palkey says there's a serious problem in using the stars to use linear calculations. Well, I mean, it is. It's a linear operation to the lights in the sky. We know how it works. It's a geometric property. That's one of the observations that we've got to do, because obviously it occurs in reality. You can check it. 69 miles measured on the map. Check a 1 degree change. Anyone can check it wherever they are, just to verify it that it is. I mean, I encourage people to actually get out there and check that this is a real thing, that it does happen in reality. Because if it doesn't, it'll be easily disproved by people just doing it. The position of the light depends on your position on Earth, not linear. It is. It's a linear operation. Mathematically means for every 69 miles there is a 1 degree change. Another 69 miles, another 1 degree change. Another 69 miles, another 1 degree change. It means the graph that would represent this operation is linear. That's what it means. Doesn't mean that the distance is linear because you're going up mountains or doing whatever, right? But that doesn't make a difference to the linear operation, because what you're talking about is you're talking about a 69 mile distance measured on a map. Now the map is not the territory, so therefore there are elevation changes in reality that don't purport to the map, but the angle does not change reportedly. Your elevation does not factor into this angle measured to Polaris. Just Polaris, just for the people that are Polaris privileged. Anyone can do it. I've done it. You can get an app on your phone. It's just measuring an angle, really. It's just measuring an angle. Like, now, you could get a theodolite if you wanted to, because this isn't something that's done on a boat or anything. You don't have to be at sea to do this. You can do this outside the front of your house, providing you can see Polaris. It's his globe. I mean, these operations, right? It's a linear 69 miles and 1 degree, which gives you a distance from 90 degrees to 0 degrees of 6,210 miles. That can be confirmed by everyone or anyone measuring the angle to Polaris. Now this only works from the 90 to 0 to the equator. So it's just from, you know, it's just one distance. Palkies, I don't know. Palki, it's been done for ages. That's where the 90 is, right? Nathan Oakley and 10th Man and the Flat Earth claim puts the 90 there at a fixed position. So that's the claim. You can't always see Polaris. I know I live in the UK, it's cloudy sometimes. And like during the day, you can't see it either. So, you know, you have to wait until you can. That's why I said, provided you can see Polaris, you can measure an angle to it. Now, just checking whether that is your actual latitude should be, you know, because that'd be one hell of a coincidence, that, wouldn't it? If every time you measured an angle to Polaris, it showed you your latitude. Precisely. Your actual latitude matches the angle to Polaris. Imagine that. What are the odds of that happening? You could check it just to make sure. People could be bullshitting. They could really. Nathan's been saying that that's how you measure the Earth flat. But if you do that, you end up with some really weird mathematical things. Like the numbers, could you say, don't add up to a Euclidean understanding. But, I mean, nobody said that reality has to match Euclidean understanding. Because most people wouldn't even know what Euclidean understanding is. Most of the glormies, anyway. You have to have been involved in this arena for a certain amount of time. Do a stream about... I don't need to. That's already been done. They're just angle measuring devices. You can get a theodolite. Doing a stream about it won't help anybody understand, you know, how these things are derived. I mean, you could take the Nathan Oakley approach and just tell everybody else that they've already done it, whether they've done it or not. Most people haven't. Most people have never even considered measuring an angle to a light in the sky. And most people wouldn't even know which light in the sky they were meant to be measuring an angle to. Pretty sure of it. So that's where we're at. You're going to be one of the people that have measured, but the problem with doing that is, see, you are then entering into the measured flat destructive dichotomy. I think by engaging with the measured flat destructive dichotomy, you're sort of putting a death nail, I think, into the coffin of flat Earth. I don't see how you can come out of it at the other end. I think that's why a lot of people don't want to engage. Which, I mean, I don't blame them. How else do you keep something that's obviously, provably, observably not true? How do you keep it going? For how many more years can they keep it going for now? I don't know. I don't know how much longer people can keep this going. But hey, there are other levels of conversation that people can have, and people have been avoiding it for years. But now, once the flat Earth has been escorted out of the way, we can then go on about proving things in reality and start having those discussions about the things that actually matter. About, where the deceit and exactly who are the people that have been leading people astray. I mean, who would you trust? Who would you trust in order to, tell you the truth? Would you trust somebody that mutes and silences and bans anyone that challenges them? Just makes ridiculous claims. Silences anybody that challenges the calls from the ridiculous claims. You will notice that nobody is ever going to defend the measured flat claim, although it seems to be the number one claim from Nathan Oakley. I mean, he's the one that said, there is a stream I did with Flatzoid. I went about it for ages, about how surveyors do not measure the Earth flat. But they didn't listen. They just kept saying it anyway. Do you think those in FE will ever try and find the actual shape? I think what they're going to do is they're just going to give it up and say that there isn't a shape, which is sort of what the globe guys have done, right? The globe guys have said there's a non-geometric shape, the globe. And I think flat earthers are going to say it's flat with no shape. But
well, yeah, I mean they have given up the equator in recent days and weeks. We talk about the equator.
Circle.
Is the equator a circle? What equator?
Yeah,
Where,
it's in the sky.
How do you know what? Yeah, it's in the. Yeah, there is no equator. It's in the sky. What about if you go to Ecuador? Well, what does that mean? There is no equator anymore on flat Earth. That's kind of becoming another thing that's got to be, wiped clean. It's like Pol Pot, the days of Pol Pot, and year zero, where everything goes back to, nothing's been said. This is the new paradigm. So that we draw in from that, from things. I mean, there's the two-pole flat Earth model coming up. That's getting, fleshed out. It's now being kind of presented as a side-by-side EA map. One for the north, one for the south, with a straight line equator in the middle. So, get used to that. See if you can, get on board and get ahead of the times. You'll have heard about it. Well, you maybe not have heard about it yet, but it's coming. It's becoming the new idea. But retreating from lots of things. So it seems like Nathan's retreated to the angle. So as long as there's a elevation angle, somebody says elevation angle, that's it. We'll, pull the plug on it all. Measured flat. Welcome to flat Earth. Go home. He's since been convinced recently that the chapter 14, the aeroplane, the pitch angle is far more solid than the 69 miles he's been spouting for the last 2 years. And he seems to have settled with the angle and pitch data. And that's where he's going at the moment.
Not the horizontal imaginary plane that the observer's standing on. Not that.
No, not that one. No, the plane in the sky.
With the
that's
69
horizontal.
miles, haven't they? That's because of the. I mean, I don't want to blow Elder Bear's trumpet, but I mean,
well, I don't want to do that either.
something that's been known about for all of this time, for the entirety of the 10 years that everyone's been talking about it, is this 69 miles to 1 degree. We do have a legend within the community. Sean Hawkins, not the Huff Fraud. The Hawkster, and he invented an argument about Polaris, which was, you know, about these 69 miles and 1 degree, and it was unchallenged for years. I think to this day still unchallenged, and he's not getting as much credit as he, you know, he's due. But Elderbear's argument is about the same thing. It's this 69 miles. It's just structured it in the favour of flat Earth. It's given the flat earthers everything that they would require to say that the Earth is flat. The horizontal distance, 69 miles. 90 of them, horizontal after horizontal after horizontal, to give a distance. A horizontal distance, entirely horizontal distance on a plane. Gives them their full east-west circle and everything. Everything they ever wanted is within the argument that Elderbear has given them. And it still doesn't work. Literally, still won't help the flat earthers. Literally, you can give them everything that they want, and with this argument they're wrecked. There's literally zero chance of the flat earth coming out of any of these arguments unscathed. They just can't talk about it, and that's a shame, because people would imagine that having 10 years in an arena where these conversations have been going round and round in circles, that us finding some very simple arguments that have been there all along. It's not changed. Nothing's changed in any of this stuff. Mountains, still not flat. Elevation changes, measured on the vertical datum, in reality. All of these distances, 69 miles measured horizontally on a map. Granted, they are. That's what happens. But you can't end up with this 6,210 miles and the equator being 24,000 miles. It just doesn't work mathematically. Rob's in the chat saying everything physical has a basic shape though. Well, all of the shapes that you know, they're Euclidean shapes. Every one of them. But the mathematics will show you that reality isn't Euclidean. Just not. You can say that sounds weird, sounds strange, but it's true. These issues cannot be resolved within a Euclidean framework. The logical thinking that you think you might be able to do, if you were ever to have a conversation and lay out these operations in a logical progression, you wouldn't be able to solve it. Unsolvable. Impossible to explain. Like the counter-rotating sun circles. But that's the reality we live in. And it gets really difficult to explain it to people that are within the false dichotomy. You can assume whatever you want, Palkeys. That's the way reality works. But you cannot say it's measured flat, because that's a ridiculous statement. It's not going to cut it. You can give people the horizontal distances. Like I say, it will not help prove that the Earth's flat, because you can't. It doesn't make any difference what you say. And the best defense that a flat Earth are ever going to have is to completely ignore any of the arguments against it and just blindly state ridiculous claims, much like Nathan Oakley. I mean, they've got used to it. The fallacious modus tollens, QE calls the black swan, is a non-argument. They've never been able to talk about it, and because I'm guessing because most people in the arena have noticed that there's something wrong with it, they've blanked it out of their mind. There's a contradiction built into it, so therefore they can't justify it in their minds, so it just slips out of the mind. There's no reasoning that you can do about it. That's what the problem is with the black swan. QE's argument that no doubt Nathan's had wrote into his book, but I mean it's terrible. I don't know how they're going to survive it. I hope you're listening, QE, or anybody. I know there aren't a lot of people listening, but everybody should be aware that we've already done many things about this argument, but I mean, I can go over these sort of things. We're going to be able to show people how to build arguments, non-fallacious arguments, in order to structure arguments in reality. The one that QE's made is awful, and I would offer QE up for the conversation, for him to explain it to everybody, to make it simple. And I would also offer to counter with where I see the flaws within the argument, structured in a proper way, in order to aid us build the argument to a more cohesive argument, that we can derive a proof from. But you can't do it if the argument's got fallacies inbuilt into it, pretty bad assumptions. He definitely didn't mind his P's and Q's, which is another vital lesson, I think, that most people aren't aware of. And I hope that people can start to, to learn how these things have been taken out of the vocabulary. I think I saw, Emma, did you post that thing? I saw that anyway. I watched it, about how words are just being taken out of usage. The AI systems, once they drop out of a certain percentage of use, they sort of stop using them, and they're getting rid of words. Now, we've been noticing that for years. We've been given many words that have taken us on quite a few journeys. Epoche is one of the main ones. Ataraxia. There's loads of them. All of these conversations that we've had within this Discord.
Priori, that's the latest.
Yeah, a priori, a posteriori. My missus thinks I'm a bit posh. And, she tells me, like,
Yeah.
stop using those words.
I never thought you were posh.
Who do you think you are? Yeah. Talk to me with words that I understand. But sometimes
What you
these
know,
words
what you
are
think
the
you know.
things that, that how you understand them through the usage of the word, and the discussion about how the word and what the word means, and how you understand how the word means and how you comprehend it. It's all very interesting, and it's all like a philosophical understanding. The more you delve into this, arena is the more you realise that, you know, you have to have an ability to use logic to find the contradiction, because the contradiction is the thing that opens up the reasoning for you to progress. And once somebody starts taking your ability to see the contradiction away from you, well, then they're starting to limit how your critical thinking may develop. And if people can take away your critical thinking subtly by diminishing word usage and making it so you can't see contradictions, maybe even giving them contradictions to you, building them in to the shadows. Maybe if that's the way it goes, then, you know, maybe society is lost. Maybe we've already lost. I don't think anybody's using Polaris to determine the shape of the Earth. Nobody's suggesting that. What we're saying is that there is a claim that it's measured flat. Now, in reality, you can measure these angles and you can measure the 69 miles. If you assume that that is measuring it flat, then you end up with a situation where the circumference of the equator has to match pi equaling 2 because of the distance of each one of these steps of 90 degrees. So the numbers won't match up, and there's a contradiction, and it's how you personally resolve that contradiction. I mean, you can just stop thinking about it, pretend it's not a contradiction, just forget about it, say it doesn't concern you. But this is mainly to the people that claim it's measured flat, because measuring it flat will give you an unequal, I don't know, is that how you put it? The proportions of this ratio of pi, the diameter to the circumference, won't match what the number that you think it should be. That's the best way of doing it, isn't it? It's all based upon that. And if that doesn't match, then you have to make an assumption. You have to make an assumption that it's non-Euclidean. Just doesn't follow these proportions that you would imagine, i.e. flat, not flat. But I mean, that depends on how much you understand geometry. You understand the fundamentals of the geometry. You understand, you know, whether you think it's possible or not for to do that. Maybe you have to put it in the hands of God and say, well, I can't do it, but I know somebody else who could. I know a man who can. But most minds, most human minds, aren't equipped to deal with the contradiction that is definitely very apparent within a certain argument. And obviously it's that tricky a conversation for people to talk about. They won't, they can't, their minds don't know how to accept it. You might be listening to this thinking I'm mad, but you try doing the maths. You can verify it. The reasoning doesn't necessarily work, but maybe that's just because that's the way I'm looking at it. Maybe that's the way that my brain's processing this, how these numbers work out, how my understanding of geometry. Perhaps if you don't already know that pi has a value, and you know how the mathematical a priori reasoning about how geometry works. Like Kevin says, epoche, it's one of the most valuable words. Allows you to play something without reserving judgment on it. You don't have to choose. You can reserve judgment and wait until a time where it comes, as you can fully comprehend what it is. As long as you use the sky, it's true that the flat earther in question is lying when saying it's measured flat. It's meaningless even taking this argument seriously, in my opinion. What, the 69 miles? Measured, that is a horizontally measured distance on the map, isn't it? That's the point. Now, do you consider that horizontal distance as measuring flat? Because if you do, then that's how you measure flat. But those numbers of your measured flat won't add up. You will have to somehow derive the circumference of your equator, which is a straight line, by the way. You have to work that out. You have to come to the understanding of what an orbit is mathematically, and that at that point you then realize that that can't be Euclidean. A straight line that returns back on itself. We'll get another song on. I'll make another brew. Buster's got his oh, I tell you what, I need to check this song anyway. So if anybody's out there and they do want to have a conversation about this, come into the Discord. You just have to click a thing or whatever and come into the VC. Come and have a chat. You don't have to do it while we're live. In fact, it's not that often that we're live anymore. I will be making it, but I'll be going over a few videos.
I have a request.
Go on.
If you're gonna play a song, I have a request.
Could,
Can you do Cornerstone, or is that?
I can do that later. I have.
Dang it!
Yeah, I'll do it later.
It's in the rotation.
Yeah, I'll get it on. I do have one that YouTube I kept getting a copyright strike for, but I've sorted it hopefully, so I shouldn't get one. But so I want to play it just to go over it. Right, so we go. If I can, if I do that and.
first fall in its endless maze. Mind unravels, truths collide and bind. What's left of you when you've mapped the mind? Don't dig deep, the ground's unsure. The fault lines creep, they'll shake your core. Go in peace with your globe. Don't crack the seams, don't chase the shadows that haunt your dreams. Spin it fast, let the truth stay cold. Go in peace with your globe. Not that you swear it's never that. Don't weigh their names, don't lay them flat. One's your anchor, one's a fleeting mass. Compare their weight, you'll break the task. You hear the hum, it's soft, it's sweet. A cradle song to keep your feet. Why ask why? Why break the spell? The globe's your home. Don't bid farewell. Don't look, the cracks will show. Don't look, you'll never know. Go in peace with your globe. Don't crack the seams, don't chase the shadows that haunt your dream. Spin it fast, let the truth stay cold. Go in peace with your globe. Spin it soft, let it glow. Go in peace, don't ever know.
That's a song about being careful how deep you dig into your model. I guess that goes for everybody at the minute. Flat earthers are the ones that are going to be taking that advice, right? Go at peace with your globe. Just go. Just be happy with what you've got. Get the Discord back on.
That's all that can happen if you don't have real arguments. I would say there's no way to discuss it, no way to talk about it.
Yeah,
Really, the best thing
that's
to
the
do then is
future,
just
isn't it?
go in peace. Yeah, go in peace with your globe. I mean, it's all good.
It's been said as much today. I think that, you know, just be happy with it. You know, just
Reality
say,
is what it is.
globe, 'tis flat, whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's not really going to affect anything. Nothing changes. Nothing's going to change about reality. You're just going to carry on going on doing the same thing you do all day, every day anyway.
Yep. And unlike certain people in this community, it's not going to affect your salvation if you're want to do that. Like if you think you're a spiritual person, it's certainly not going to affect that. So some people want you to believe it will somehow impact your, afterlife situation, if you think about that. But it won't.
Yeah, I mean, we've been having discussions about all sorts of things at the minute, and in fact, the song Kevin requested is about those sort of things. You know, like how do you personally link your reality that you've got around you with your spirituality and your knowledge? Like how do you blend all of those things together in a package and you come out okay at the other end of it without a troubled mind or spirit or knowledge?
I would say I would say, how do you come out of it without being prideful, having hubris, thinking yourself as God instead of God as God? How do you do that? How do you come out with it out the other end, not thinking that you're God? Because that's all that's talked about, it seems to me, in this arena, is God's views. You know, what's the thing that we live on in its entirety? Those are things reserved for God, because God's the creator of everything. If you want to believe those sorts of things, you don't have to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. There are claims at the minute. This is one of the things that, you know, making a claim is something that you should only be able to do with I'd say a priori and a posteriori proof or knowledge, right, of something. It's not really worth discussing something if you've got no experience of it, or unless you are taking advice in order to gain experience about that thing from somebody that does have experience. But to be able to engage within a situation where you're making claims about something, it does help if you have some sort of knowledge in one way or the other on that. Now, there are claims, like we say, this argument that Elderbear's made, it's a claim specifically against the measured flat claim. So it's only for the people that state it's measured flat. First off, what's measured flat? Second of all, how? What's the purpose, and what's the method of you doing this, and how do you come to the conclusion that you are able to say it's measured flat? They're three vital components, and none of them seem to be able to be made. Just the claim that's being stated, and it's been stated by the person making the claim that they've never actually done it themselves. They have no ability, no method, no experience in anything to back up their claim. And supposedly writing a book about it, aiming to make money from sales of this book, that's going to be the #1 resource for flat Earth. So he's got a ridiculous claim, an impossible ability, because he just tells you that you've done it, but you don't know how you've done it. He doesn't know how you've done it. And he's going to write it in a book and tell people that they should go out there and say the same to other people. It's one of the most ridiculous statements anyone could ever make. And he's obviously talking to a load of gullible people. Because there seems to be people out there that believe this is something... Well, I mean, I don't think... I think the people that are posting those sort of things are like Flat Earth Society. They want him to make a fool of himself. Because he does seem unaware of the destruction that's literally happened to the flat Earth around the final experiment. And I'm not joking. You can try and talk to any flat earther about this. They'll immediately shut down. Ask you something about the globe. But now, right, the real globe does have 69 miles between 1 degree. That is something that happens on the real globe. It has to. There's no way of getting around it. These things that happen in reality actually happen in reality. There's no getting away from it. Just because you don't understand it, I don't understand it, maybe it's impossible to explain. But these are the things that are verifiable in reality. There's nothing you can do about it. Just have to accept it. Who's that? What's going on in the chat? Don't ask Ace about knowledge versus belief. Why? I mean, people can talk about that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
A priori, a posteriori. I mean, literally just wrote a song about it. I've decided now it's much better for me to use these songs as like a notepad to just remember these things, rather, because we do tend to go over quite a lot of stuff and forget about it. It seems like there's a part of the human condition is for our memories to easily forget certain things, particularly once you get stuck in a cycle. And you can, like, once you've been in this arena for long enough, you begin to see it. But that cycle has been broken recently. TFE mainly led to it, but I think it was the biblical cosmology thing that really broke it first. That did lead to TFE, but placing the false dichotomy within a religious framework just pointed out to everybody, I think, the religious nature of just about everything that we're dealing with at the minute.
Yep.
And how you should definitely consider the religious aspect of everything. Because I don't think there's a way of you actually getting away from it. Particularly in this arena, right? If anything, they were right in that sort of respect that, you know, this is a pathway to God, but not in the way that you would imagine it. You need to use logos to be able to see the contradictions, to be able to, you know, guide you along this path of self-realization, self-understanding, I think. But I mean, it's still up there for discussion of how people get to these realizations or whatever. Well, it's obviously these people in the chat have decided that they're gonna have a discussion. We don't particularly know what your beef is with each other, but if it's about knowledge and belief, then please come in. That's the sort of stuff that we've been dealing with at the minute. And how do you know? And how do you gain your knowledge? The a priori aspect, I've always been dealing with. I think that's where my mind always went to, the first principles type idea. The stuff that's there within the framework of everything. But, you know, there is a modern day society where inductive reasoning seems to take hold, but maybe people have forgot the deductive reasoning. Maybe the Sherlock Holmes character is, I don't know, what's happened to that? What did happen? Like, why was Sherlock Holmes allowed to be around? Who knows? Yeah, that's inductive reasoning. That's a belief. Through a posteriori reasoning. What about, like I was talking to Blue Marble Science earlier. What about a water level tool? Is that a priori horizontal? Because I'd say it's also a posteriori horizontal. But Blue Marble seemed to disagree. And so that can only assume that it must be the opposite for him. Which, to me, sounds like a fantastic claim. Because I actually have the a priori and a posteriori reasoning already inbuilt in. So Blue Marble is sort of challenging me that, you know, he can undo my a priori and a posteriori knowledge, which is a pretty big claim for anybody to make, particularly if they're not willing to come up with any reasoning or anything. I might have to play that. Was unbelievable, really. That people nowadays have, after what's gone on, and you know, all of the stuff that we've put in, the arguments that have been made to show that it's not flat, the reasoning certain people still have to be able to call us trolls. I don't. Only a very strange, tiny group of people. But then that's all we are as well. You guys that are in the chat, right, if you understand that each of other of you are sort of going round in a circle, maybe it's a scripted act to make it look like there's some sort of argument that's going on that you can have that nobody else can be a part of, just goes round and round in circles. But I mean, that's just you guys. It doesn't help anybody and get anywhere if you know, if you're stuck in a loop and you realize that you're stuck in a loop, and the person that you're talking to is always also stuck in a loop, then break it. I don't know. Anybody know what's going on there in the chat?
No, it stemmed from difference between knowledge and belief, and
now it's about a car starting.
And now it's, yeah, I mean, but I mean the chat. I don't know if you want to call it debate. Looks like more bickering to me, but I mean they could come in here and you know, voice these things.
Come on in to the Discord and let us know what you're actually talking about, because when we are interested in people's arguments and stuff, but being able to express these sort of things, it's probably an ability that people are going to lose.
Yeah, we'd be happy to monitor a debate of sorts.
Did you hear
be happy
about
to do that?
The usage of the noun usage?
Yes, the 11,000 words.
Yeah, they just sort of
they sort of gone away. Yeah. Not surprising. I think that's kind of modern times, is let's whittle everything down to you know, smaller and smaller vocabulary ability to communicate, so that the kinds of things that are happening in our chat happen.
Yeah.
no discussions can be had. Fewer words you're using, the less likely you are to actually have a conversation, a civil conversation that maybe people would get something out of.
You'll only ever need nuh-uh.
Yeah, or just Earth is measured flat, right? And then you're done. 4 words. Earth is measured flat.
Realm
That's it.
Walker says that Ken's called in
Good.
the trolls from Earth Awakening, so maybe these guys are just sort of going round in circular arguments are from Earth Awakenings. Now,
Well, that happens.
would make
Yep.
sense because
Yes.
I'm banned from Earth Awakenings. Maybe because of the logical structure we bring to arguments and, you know, how we don't go along with the circular reasoning of you said this and you don't believe that, and you know, getting nowhere arguments. Not even arguments, really.
Yeah,
bickering backwards and forwards.
We've been exiled from the genesis of the 2-pole flat Earth model. That's really disappointing. You know, we could have had a great input to that, you know, for the future, for humanity. Legacy for our children.
Well, Nathan didn't
I
mention
remember
anything
back
where
in
he saw
day-
Karen B with the cog model. He didn't say anything about it, did he?
No, that reminded me very much of that. You know, the thing is, if the equator is meshed in with those 2 cogs, then it can't turn because it's, you know, each one's going in an opposite direction. Oh no, it would go, yes.
Yeah, the cuts are the
Yeah,
cogs
so
making
the
it.
equator would, the equator slides backwards and forwards in between, because otherwise it keeps going round, and it must be infinite. Otherwise, it'd fall out. You know, come to the end and drop out of the mesh of the cogs.
Yeah, the cog has
Unless,
to
of
be
course, it rotates.
at all places instantaneously, right?
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. Magic.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. They must all. Yes. Every cog must meet at every place at all times.
Yeah, on the 2-pole model.
Yeah.
It is impossible. Impossible to explain. Said it
Many
ages
of
ago.
But many weeks and months will be spent on it, though, fleshing it out, giving it some
All because they can't his
gravitas.
globe. Right, they've done themselves out of it. They've put themselves in that position. They've only got themselves to blame. Much easier.
I mean, we've also only just
put it at the side. Forget about it.
Yeah, I mean, we've only just begun investigating, you know, what the guys in the South are doing, how their world works, you know. We seem to have been thrown out of that possibility of finding out how it works for anyone beyond the equator, how they measure anything, how they get their way about. Did they grow up in school, you know, centered on the North? Is that what they were taught at school? Everything comes from the North.
I don't think anybody was ever taught anything in school. Maybe in the formative years, up to about 7, you know, primary. I don't know what you guys call it in America or Australia or wherever, South Africa.
Elementary school in the US.
It's just the formative years, and that's it. Nobody gets taught anything about the globe until you become an adult and enter one of these arenas. I doubt it anybody ever knew anything about the circumference or, you know, the radius. Most people don't even know what they are anyway. You know, the geometric understanding of circumference or radius or diameter.
Yeah, it's amazing. Even within the arena, people who don't. When I kind of was on the illusion. It seems now this was an assumption, but realize it's an illusion to think that after all this time that more people hadn't kind of come to grips and grasp what was going on, particularly when most of this stuff is number based or geometrically based. 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height. The radius is r. Where do you get the r value? Circumference, but don't seem to know or understand the relationship between any of those things, and maybe that's why they never question it, because they don't understand. It's just, oh yeah, then I don't know, they sound good. Somebody got away with it in an argument to say those numbers in that sequence. That's the way to say it. Or maybe they've said it and somebody else has pointed out in the chat, and the VC stopped them and said, no, this is what you should say, or don't ever say that. Get them to make a claim. Don't ever get yourself in a position where you've got a claim to make. Put it back on them. It's their burden of proof.
Yeah, that does seem to be like a very big thing within this arena. Either sides, right?
Yeah.
Of the
I mean,
false
yeah.
dichotomy. They will always not make, well, pretend they're not making a claim, but if they do make a claim and you challenge them on it, they'll flip it back onto you. They'll make it your claim. Like everybody must have experienced that. But to actually realise that that's what's happening, you have to be aware of the situation that you're in.
Yeah, I mean, that's now become more apparent to me. I've heard it said, heard you talk about, and other people talk about it, but now I'm experiencing it since this argument has gone out into the ether. Watching this morning, you said you'd gone over to 24/7, just chatting to somebody there, and I went and listened back to it, but I saw my name go by in the chat, and I thought, well, I'm not there. That's my icon, but somebody was had kind of chopped up or copy and pasted or cut out something I'd said in some other context to make it seem as though it's me who's saying horizontal equals 69 miles for every 1 degree. And so it's now being, I'm trying to make it out like I'm the one who created this thing so that they can put it off onto me and say he's the problem. So it's an interesting development personally, for me to experience and to see it going by. And that's it happened in another one of the newer servers that are just timing me out now. But I'm kind of asking them. They're flat earther based people. Yeah, it's all flat earthers pretty much there. And yeah, I present the argument, and they turn around and say, where you're claiming a circumference. I say, no, I'm not. My argument is to address the circumference as being claimed by other people. They're trying to turn it around that it's me who's making these claims. I said, no, I'm just addressing the claims. Oh, who did it? We never said it. Oh, okay. Well, whoever said it then. We've never heard anybody say it. Well, you've got a post over there in that server from you that is actually promoting that idea, promoting those numbers, promoting celestial navigation on flat Earth. And then, and they get angry, and somebody else has to come along, and somebody a bit bigger, the icon, the legend of flat Earth that is India, has to come and, rule, put some edict down.
Could that
Yeah,
be
if you
classed as a
mention
paradox,
somebody
do you
who
reckon?
isn't in, I guess.
If you come into
Could.
this arena and actually make an argument for debate, you will be shut out of the arena. Because this flat earth debate arena does not want any arguments. It's
No.
paradoxical.
They're like bickering.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's paradoxical that
Yeah,
if you
totally.
bring an argument into
Yeah, you're
the
right.
debate arena, they'll tell you it's not an argument. You'll end up arguing about how it isn't even an argument. You won't even get to address the argument. That's how bad this arena is, and how badly affected the flat earthers have been by all of this stuff. Everything that's gone on just recently in the past has just exposed the flat earth more and more and more. You can't get away from it, and they cannot address it.
Yeah, it's a very odd situation. And they're talking about this 60 nautical miles or 69 statute miles, and they say, "Well, have you measured it? Who measured it?" I don't know. In 8 years, somebody said yesterday, I haven't heard. I know, but when I've asked who measured it, nobody's been able to tell me. But then proceeded to mute me or ban me for 24 hours. I was silenced. I wasn't banned, but for 24 hours, because I pointed out that the other guy in the chat was claiming that he got these measurements, and it proved flat Earth by these measurements. So this guy, the other guy, Indio, said, in 8 years, I've been asking for somebody to tell me where that measurement came from and who measured it. Nobody can tell me. But there he was defending and muted me for 24 hours because I pointed out, yeah, but there's this guy here that you're backing that is saying he's got the measurements and he's measured it, even though I know he hasn't measured it. He's never had a sextant. He's probably never measured an angle of Polaris. He's never done any, but he's got lots of pretty pictures and diagrams and goes around loads of places laying out the flat Earth scripture about it. And he's never done it. And none of them claim that they know where it came from. But they say that it's the globe came from these measurements. And then they say they don't know where they came from. It's kind of crazy, such is the rush to deny they've ever said it, or they know anybody who's ever said it, or they've ever used it as kind of proof evidence, as something to back up flat Earth. They kind of denying the equator. There's no equator. Where is it? Who do you know where it is? Denying the center even.
Yeah, the point
and that it can't be a circle.
90.
The equator can't be. Yes. And yeah, I mean, I remember Indio saying to me, if you went along and the Eiffel Tower was on your left and you walked east, you're telling me you're not going around in a circle. Why would I be going in a circle? And then he added the caveat, that I was tied to the Eiffel Tower. Well, yeah, of course, I'm going to go around in a circle if I'm tied to a piece of string to a point over there, but just going that way east, then, I said, no, the Eiffel Tower's behind me. It's back there behind me now. And now he's kind of denying that this model that they lay out actually exists. They've never said it. They don't want to be tied down to the model that they represent.
Yeah, that's because it can't
The
really
aim-
be
the-
explained, can it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're in
but
a
it's not
pretty
my
bad
fault. I said
way
it's not
at the
my
minute.
fault. I think they are. Yeah. It's not my fault. I didn't make up the numbers. I'm just addressing what I've heard since I've been around and the things that I've heard and been told, and then I just added it up at one time and thought, well, that doesn't add up. How does that work? Surely on for those people who are looking for the truth, say they're truthers, and the government is lying to you. You've been conditioned since birth. Education's a terrible thing. they're messing your head up from the time you were born, and and they say they're here for the truth, but if you point out something that can't possibly be the truth, then they silence you, shut you down. So what kind of search for truth is that? I mean, it's not my fault. If there's something else beyond this gatekeeping that is closer to the truth, what's the problem of going there? Even if you couldn't find out, even if that's what you discovered, oh, I can't know that. It's not available for me to know. At least, you could get to a place where you could try and work out what the hell you're going to do with that in your life, and what the implications of that and what it might lead you to. Might be a much more wonderful journey than the measurements and the geometry. The place you might arrive at. Maybe the purpose of that. Maybe that's the purpose, to get you to arrive at that place. But if people are blocking the way and trying to make people into heretics, treasonous people for having a question. It just seems madness, really. And I'm not saying I'm here. I don't know anybody who's saying they know the answer, the whole thing. But surely, we could try and find something, even if it's just for yourself, something that you own, something, some knowledge you own, a proof for yourself. But hey.
Yeah, it's not for everyone, is it? I mean, nobody's forcing anything on anyone.
No, absolutely not. And I get it. Those guys today, that guy earlier on saying, how many Bevites are there? A handful, 100. I say, what? People who think that know that level is horizontal. Millions, probably. Go down the pub, ask a few. Ask them what they think. I think they're going to tell you anything about the shape of the Earth in the answer. You seem to think they would, but that's because he's in a place where that's what he's doing.
Yeah, they're talking about the whole.
Seems to spend his whole time there. Yeah. I mean, people are here every day. Okay, I spend a lot of time here too. I am busy doing things at the same time. I try and multitask. I'm not just sitting around in front of the computer all day. Doing nothing else. I am doing other things, but some of these people, maybe they're multitasking as well. They claim to have professions, but they're always around. They've got an incredible amount of hours to give to it. So they're dedicated. And I don't know that the normal everyday guy, lady who does things practically in the world and understands how things, would balance, just kind of trying to get the child seat in the car and hold the child, the whole kind of physics and mechanics that goes on with that's just normal to everybody's way of moving, not everybody, people's way that they balance things and get through life. Don't analyze it, but it's an incredible amount of things that go on, physics and maths and geometry that you could break down, but people aren't doing that. It does interest some people about how you do that and how that works and whether you could be better at it, or the car's rattling. Some people go, oh well, I'll give it to somebody else and pay them to sort it out. And there's others who think, hang on, maybe I can get to the bottom of this myself and work out how it's done. All levels of interaction with things and search for knowledge and want to know and understand things. So it's not for everybody, but it doesn't mean that those who have an a priori position don't have a valid position in the sense of understanding that horizontal's level without actually it's that kind of
you
inner
can't-
knowledge
you
about
can't
something, an
start
inner
giving
understanding.
people an entire belief system based around one observable fact in
No.
reality, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it does interest. Yeah, I don't know why it interests me. That's me. It interests me, and there's lots of things that I'm understanding and thinking about that are offshoots of this whole kind of topic that are fascinating, really amazing things. This a priori, a posteriori, for instance, is God, it does. I mean, if you keep coming across these things, descriptions of the things that you found you've been doing for years, but it just didn't have a word for it. It didn't have a title. It didn't have some kind of definition. Just oh wow, I didn't realize that that's what that was. I do that. But when you have some words that may seem a bit, highbrow and educated or whatever, they have there's a simple explanation for them. When you can fit them into your world, things become a lot clearer. Other things, other situations become clearer. Well, they do for me. And I kind of feel freer in that space of being able to understand in all sorts of things that are outside of this topic, that it fits into that as well. That's interesting. Depends, I guess, what you value in, what you attain in your life, really. Can be just an inner understanding, a thought. So I mean, outside of this, for me, last week I've got this motorbike, and when I set off in a low speed, low revs, it stutters. It just is not a smooth uptake of the accelerator. It stutters, and it feels embarrassing almost to, think, oh, he doesn't know what to do, and I think there's something wrong with this bloody thing. And I've investigated what it is, and it seems to be quite common for certain things. I think, how can I solve that? And there are kind of some people came up with some ideas, but they're expensive. Add this technology to it, and it'll manage the computer part of it and make it run smoother. And you can put these different maps in and make it, be ultra sporty in this setting. And I think, oh, I'm not spending £500 on it. And then I came across a guy last week. He went to buy something he had for sale, and he had another motorbike. He said, "Oh, I used to have one like yours." And we got talking about these things like you do. And he said, I went into the settings. He said, you can go into the dash. You press these two buttons on the dash, and you get into these settings. And if you change the values in there, he said, you'll then see what difference it made. I came home and went on the internet and was reading up about it. I was up in the morning and found my way into the system and changed some values for the injectors. And the whole thing is totally transformed this bike. That was I'm going, wow. And it cost me nothing, and it's just such an incredible change. So, but that's me. Not everybody wants to do that. Thinks about how to do it, and different levels of things of knowledge. But it's something I own now. And I shared that with some other people on this forum for this type of bike. A nerdy thing to do, no doubt, but it was sharing something with some people, thinking, oh, these other people have got this problem too. Seems to be an inherent problem with this machine, and people are going, oh, thanks for that. Oh, how do you do that? And then I'm acting like I've got this knowledge that I've only known for 2 days, and they're asking me this information, and I'm kind of thinking, well, yeah, I understand how it works, but now I'm this kind of, for some people, this authority in something, and so just sharing some knowledge about something. But yeah, it's not for everybody. Other people will, they won't feel capable of doing something like that, so they'll go and pay somebody else to do it, or they'll just leave it, live with it. I don't know. And yeah, it's not for everybody. But for those that are interested, it's I've found a lot of liberation in these things. It means, that being able to fix that thing on my bike was meant that I don't have to run so fast on the hamster. Because if I've got to find somebody else to do it, I've got to pay a lot of money, which means that's the money I can't spend on something else, or choose not to have to earn that money. I can think, oh, well, I don't have to do that this week. I haven't got to rush around and just to service this situation. I could spend that time learning how to do it. And then I've got the knowledge and I've saved money. And so, that's what drives me in a lot of those things is how can I'm not a slave to the system because I haven't learned how to do something. These things aren't really beyond the knowledge of normal people. It's not really beyond that knowledge. Over some time, you pick up little bits and pieces, and then you gradually come to have a better understanding of things. And certainly in this arena, you're able to talk to different people on different subjects, and understand the flow of the conversations. So you're able to engage in it if you want. Don't have to, but it does help to know that that guy's talking bullshit. He obviously doesn't know what he's talking about. It's generally men, but because you understand how things are working. So.
I think you have to understand the argument, don't you? Right? In order for you to solve a problem, you have to formulate some sort of an argument, I think. In order for you to solve it, you give yourself a problem, formulate an argument, and then find a way to resolve it. And that's what we're missing in this arena. Most people aren't seeing what the arguments are. They don't know how to resolve the arguments. Even if they know how to form them, right? Even when somebody else presents them with an argument in the form of a question even. It's hard to come to a solution. One of the weirdest arenas I've ever been involved in is this particular arena. Now, flat earth, globe earth, doesn't really matter. They all purport to be truth seekers. And even to the fact that truth seeker has been given a bad name. It's such a weird situation. That how do you arrive at a truth? And I think that's probably why it's been given a bad name. This idea of somebody who's seeking truth. I mean, aren't we all? I mean, who's looking for lies?
Yeah.
Like, what's that about?
Yeah.
Nobody seems to want to help anybody else derive at a truth. They just want to tell you that they know the truth. And that sounds awfully religious. Take it back to the earlier idea of, like, what's a religion nowadays? I would state that this arena, what Nathan Oakley is actually doing, is more religious based, in the true sense, where people, we just said, I've read this book, you haven't read the book. I'm like, Nathan Oakley's sort of writing the book, telling people he's writing the book while other people are doing it for him, and he's just telling people, like, as though the book's coming, right? You'll be able to get the book and read the book, the Flat Earth Bible, but at the minute you just have to take the word of the minister, the guy who's telling you this sort of stuff. And if you don't have a way of deriving that truth for yourself, then how close to a religion is that? Because actual religion is based on faith. And that's what people have to put within Nathan Oakley at the minute. Because he's not showing anybody how it's measured flat. He's never done it.
Yeah,
Can't show you.
yeah, it's fascinating, the human condition that do that. Because last night the missus was watching something on the TV, and I was sitting down reading something, and she fell asleep, and the programming went into this. It was on. The program went into this thing talking about the Jesus Army, and this documentary about the Jesus Army and the growth of this movement, this religious movement, that started with one guy and a few people living in a house, and grew to be, this big industry worth 58 million and thousands of people in it. And it went on. It only closed down in like 2022, fairly recently, But at the center of it was this guy, and I looked at him and thought, why would people follow this guy? He was the strangest looking character. Didn't really have any charisma. There was something about him that people were kind of, I don't know what it was. That was fascinating to watch these people and try and work out why they took this guy as a leader and follow this guy. And I mean, it turned out to be, cover up, and a whole lot of abuse came out of it in the end, and some from this guy. But just looking at something, it's like looking at Nathan Oakley or QE or Meakin or most of the people. You look at them and you go, I wouldn't choose to follow that guy just by the look of him. That's it. But they had these thousands of people who were just devoted to this thing. And when the guy died, they were a total loss. He'd gone, and they did. They had a big hole in their lives because this guy's control, somehow, this Svengali kind of thing, this power. It's kind of interesting how that people are prepared to do that, prepared to give up their own will and put it in the hands of somebody else. Give away their children. I mean, just incredible things, It's an amazing thing, really, that the things that people will do and things that can be done to people. So you can see easily in this arena how some charismatic type people can command the room, command the rhetoric, command the script, have people repeating it. And when you ask those people to explain, they can't explain. But they have a position where they can close you down and silence you. And make it look as though, and get those people, the leader will get those people to attack you en masse and call you out. And then, in other parts of the place, it spreads so that you become known as, you become described as this certain type of character. Don't speak to them. I mean, that's how I came across you, Bev. I said, people are saying, don't speak to him. Don't listen to him. And I think, I better go and listen to that just so I know what it is I shouldn't be listening to, at least. And you think, hang on, what's the problem here? What's such a bad thing about, this sounds quite sensible to me, very logical, very funny. So, and not in I know what people are going to do, because they say, that I'm Bev's acolyte, which is a ridiculous thing. I know they'll say that, but and for these, it seems to me that those people are also in amongst a group of people with common thoughts to them, or, what they believe as their common belief system, something that they feel, close to people in ideas. And if it's the flat Earth or the globe Earth, whatever that might be, they find solace and companionship and camaraderie and all that kind of thing within that. And they don't want to give it up, but like a football team or something. I kind of
Betty's
understand
side
that,
rule.
but
That's what
yeah,
Betty said.
right.
If
Yeah,
if they're not on your side, then like you've got to fight against it. What was it? How did he do it? He said something about that. If you were at a football match and somebody cheered for the other side, then it was okay for you to hit them, type thing. They open themselves
Yeah,
up.
they're your enemy at that point.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It could be just someone cheering for both sides, like don't have a side in it, just like want to see a good
That
football
was a
match.
nice play, yeah.
Yeah.
No, nice.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to do that in in this modern society, is it? It's like you're forced into choosing a side, whereas sometimes, like we've experienced, it may be a false dichotomy. Maybe both of the choices are bad, and you get forced into choosing one of them because of the way society is at the minute. You've been conditioned into doing that sort of thing.
Yeah, but then it's presented as another level of conditioning to make you feel bad that you think that they're both bad.
Yeah.
For you to have the idea that there is a false dichotomy, that neither of these options are worth anything to you personally.
Well, anybody looking
learn
at you
things through them, but,
will assume that you're on the other side. Betty's side rule will apply to you always.
Yeah.
And that's where some people find themselves. Trapped within, like being able to see the false dichotomy is the flaw. Because it makes you shown as being an enemy of both sides, really. But only within the Betty's side rule understanding of it all. Yeah, I mean, it's hard work.
Yep.
It's hard work surviving in modern day society as it is. But once you begin to understand how the groundwork rules, like how where you lay the groundwork, it becomes a bit more apparent, and it's pretty obvious that the flat Earth is going to end. There's no conversation, there's no future in any of it at the minute. So that's where we are. We're left in a place where where's the conversation gonna go after that? Because it's pretty obvious that they can't even talk about the problems that they have, and they're just gonna dwindle off into their own little arenas. But certain people are going to still need to have the conversation. It's still up for nothing has been resolved in the minds of either side of this arena. It's ridiculous, to be honest, and it is, thankfully, it's the smallest group of people that there is, because I wouldn't like to bring anybody into this at all. And it's good that it's sort of ended. But where the conversation's allowed to go after that, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's, we had great contrast today, and, I've got to go over. Omni wants to speak to me about something. Okay, all right. And so you go there, and I'll go and have a listen. Sitting there as well, and it's kind of, because they're interesting things to hear, and they're Globers, and equally, there's such a crazy conversation that goes on there. So it's not, don't think, that we are anti-flat earthers in that, it's exactly the same situation happened with this other group of people, the other side, your opposition, are no less, infected with crazy thinking, illogical thinking, and it's hell of a funny. It's funny. So it can be seen. The false dichotomy can be seen within those two contrasting conversations that you could have with two different opposing groups of people who seemingly support each other, even though
Oh, that was definitely.
they know
today,
it's a
yeah.
ridiculous situation.
Yeah, to the point that
And then tell you that you're not you have no integrity.
It's hard
Yeah.
to know where they're coming from and what position they're taking, because it's mad.
Yeah, it's mad. Yeah.
We were being told that saying that mountains aren't flat was an affront to the flat Earth, I think. But we, as many times as we tried to say, it's
Well, they said it was a lack
the
of
most obvious one, right? To start off with, there are many ways for you to know it's not flat. That's what we were trying to point out.
They said that this demonstrated your lack of integrity.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
This is an example of your lack of integrity, that you could say that it's ridiculous to say that mountains are flat. And that you shouldn't point that out to people. It's kind of almost rude. You had to take on their craziness and don't point it out, because that would be rude. You have to accept their position. If you say, hang on a minute, mountains aren't flat, that lacked integrity and was disrespectful. It's madness. So there they were, the Globers were supporting their opposition, the flat earthers, to be able to have a position to say that the earth is flat when they know it's not. But let's not talk about that. Well, if that doesn't make sense, well, it makes sense whichever way you see it. Then crack on. Really, it's each to their own.
Yeah, if somebody points at a mountain and says that's not flat, you'd be pushed to start calling them a flat earther, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, this group of people that have designed this point of view, they find it difficult adjusting to,
Well, as you say, it goes to that thing you said about religion, and that, this is this arena, is a religious thing. It runs along those lines, a belief system, and just on faith in. I'm not quite sure what it is, because the things that they place in the center and the focus of their belief system, they're really willing to deny at any moment. Should you point out that there seems to be an issue with it?
Yeah, and then say that they never claimed that, or I didn't say that. You just said
they never.
That. It's like, we were only just sort of asking you about your earlier claims.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bloods. That was another thing. Yeah, we went into 24/7 Flat Earth Discord this morning, and I was talking to Bloods about us going to Bedford to do, our things that we want to do. If anybody does want to come and talk about it, The Discord's open. You can come in at any time. It is a UFC weekend, so it should be interesting. So no heated debates or anything, but if anybody does want to come in, we're always open on the level Discord. Just pop in. But we were over there talking, me and Bloods, it was silence in the room, so I did a mic check and then started talking to Bloods about, you know, another trip to Bedford, because Bloods does come with us when we go there. He's the guy that did the GIF. So we're going to go there and do some more of that sort of filming. Get a plumb bob out and, you know, dangle plumb bobs. And they muted us, both of us, me and Bloods. They just literally didn't want us talking about going and doing observations at Bedford level. They'd rather listen in silence than listen to us talking about that. They're weird.
Yeah. That's in reality. Let's not talk about that.
Yeah. There are loads of things that we can learn from reality. And like we say, we're going to be putting these things through the Discord. We should be able to have all of the tests. I think I'll be able to get I think it's best for me to get the camera on the auto level, looking down there, I think, and put that into the Discord. And then we can have the cameras doing the work, and we can make the videos or whatever afterwards. Do the infrared and get Bloods to do his P1000. So we'll get the infrared and the P1000. Another P1000 over at the other side. Yeah, I think it should be doable. It's just us working out a time for us to go. So it's up for everybody else. If anybody else is around that area, would like to come and you know, get involved, do a few observations. Perhaps you've never been to the to Bedford level. Perhaps it's like a historic place that you'd like to go and have a trip to. There is a nice little pub there we'll have for dinner. Might be able to meet Emma. Maybe we can get Rumpus to do another appearance. I bet Bloods would do that. Will you get a new one? Have they got them out yet? Has anybody got any one of those? They'll not beat 125 times, will they? What's it meant to be going up to? I think the auto level did quite well. I was impressed with the picture we got from the auto level. And if we can pump that through into Discord just to show people that, you know, it is possible, we'll be able to do the reciprocal rumpus pole sightings as well. But we just go there to try and get some, you know, measurements so we know what we're going to be dealing with. I might need a special tripod, or maybe just something to lengthen the legs on the tripod. Who knows? Maybe Sky Free might be interested in seeing some of the stuff that we can do. So if anybody knows them, give us a shout and we'll have a chat with them. Most people don't seem to want to talk to us about any of this. I don't know why. Just like that. It's been quite interesting about the I think flatzoid and the biblical stuff has impressed me at the minute, because I've never really been that interested in it, but since he left the flat earth and moved into the religious stuff, we've been listening to it, and yeah, it gets me quite intrigued. I know that I've made some songs about stuff that I don't think I would have without that sort of stuff. It tends to be that, you know, the flat earthers that tend to use biblical verses that they think prove something about the shape of the earth, yet everything that I seem to read within the Bible, God seems to be saying that you can't measure it. So it's really weird that flat earthers seem to be the ones using it to say it's flat. Doesn't really make sense, but I don't think anything's meant to make sense. I think it's better if it doesn't make sense, because that seems to be the way that people can't question it if it doesn't make sense, because that means it's nonsense and the brain can't resolve nonsense. It can't work it out. It's just not meant to. So it's been a good night. I think what I'm going to do is next week, perhaps maybe start Sunday. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be able to play some old clips, just so people can remember the sort of stuff we've been dealing with. So we'll be going over that, but at the same time, we are going to be in Discord. Now, whether you want to listen to whatever we're going over and talk about that in Discord, or you want to come and talk about other things, the YouTube live stream will be playing old clips, much like a few of these other channels do. They play old stuff. Well, I've saved a fair few clips and stuff that I haven't put out on thing. And I think some of this stuff needs to be gone back over again as well. Like the conversation we just had earlier. That's an hour and 10 minutes of just a random conversation that we've had with the Dogmatic Globe guys, talking to them about things that happen in reality and how we know it's not flat. But see, there seems to be only a few people that can engage in those conversations without getting really upset, angered even, because there was a fair bit of that tonight. So, if anybody does, remember that the Discord is open for a conversation for anyone. I think we're going to end it here tonight with Cornerstone. This is a song that I have made quite recently. Done quite a few of these sort of songs. I'll be this will be another thing. I'll be putting the radio station on, if you will. I've got loads of songs. Right. So, anybody got any final words? Most people don't. I will be back on Monday. I will open the stream up, like I say, start going over some old conversations that we've had. Oh wait a minute, let me do the flat side thing. I'll do that because this is another one of Nathan Oakley. So you've heard the.
You're not going to like this. I'm probably going to lose subscribers over it. I despise your average flat earther. I think most flat earthers are complete retards.
Right, and then we've got this one. This is like a 2.5 minute clip.
When you get to the nitty-gritty of how Earth's dealt with, it's flat. But the game was making idiots, normally frickin' hippies, with stupid stones and crystals, carrying P900s telling the world that they can figure it out. We don't need you stone-carrying, crystal-defining hippies with your stupid ether and your P900s to tell us how Earth's measured. It's already been measured.
You have an angle towards the Chicago skyline or whatever you want to observe, which is already too far to see.
We don't need you anymore, you bunch of hippies. Okay? All you're doing is fueling the fire that there's actually a debate to be had.
No, I'm just letting the FED crew know that their lapdog needs more training because you're an idiot.
While you hold your camera and tell us, I can see too far.
I see too far. How's that?
Too far?
I can see compared to the push narrative, I see Chicago skyline, which should be impossible to see. How's that?
Who's decided how frickin' far we can see? Earth curve maths that's created with flat Earth measurements to begin with. This is a stupid discussion. Why are we having it?
My hypothesis for seeing too far would show that if I change my position, I should see further.
Change your position from where?
I'm manipulating my position. Do I manipulate my position when I manipulate my position?
You self-absorbed retard flat earthers. Yeah, you're not the arbiter of how flat Earth is with your camera, you stupid self-absorbed idiot flat earther. Okay? It was always measured flat. It was always called sea level, and every time you, holding your stupid little P900, heard the word sea level, you just ignored it. You didn't realise that axiomatically Earth must be flat with that measuring tool that we use daily. It's the only way Earth was ever measured, but you were put into a stupid, idiotic position where you were led to be able to be argued with by a bunch of other idiots. Because then it seems like you with your P900 arguing about Earth curve maths are the arbiters of whether or not Earth's spherical or flat.
So there you go. Nathan Oakley holds a specific view about flat earthers. He also has a channel called Flat Earth Debate and says there's no debate. There never has been. There never will be. Signed a death warrant for his own channel, I would suggest. And he's only saying that because he hasn't got an argument.
Yeah, you can consider that a message from the king.
Yeah. That's the end
Yeah,
of it.
looking forward to his Christmas message to all of his subjects, you horrible flat earther subjects. Amazing. Anyway, keep your allegiance to the king, whatever you do.
Yeah. And I'll be back on Monday. I'll start playing some of the old clips so you'll be able to see what's gone on. Just if you want to relive some of the old stuff. Relive the good old days when people made ridiculous claims about stuff. They imagined that reality is this whatever they think is flat earth, and see how ridiculous that is. Can you even imagine nowadays imagining that somebody else could imagine that the earth's flat? It's ridiculous to even consider it. Right. Let's see. Get this and See you later. Thanks for listening.
Quiet, the step you must take, the journey to knowledge for your own soul's sake. Lay down the cornerstone, start where you stand, seek the unspoken with an open hand. The Logos walks with you, the way and the light through the quest. Out in the whirlwind where the heavens unfold, God spoke to Job in a story untold. Where were you when the stars sang in flight? Who laid the stone in the heart of the night? Questions like rivers, they carve through the soul. Socratic echoes that won't let you go. The enthymeme whispers, a truth left to find. A piece of the puzzle you hold in your mind. It's the silence that speaks, it's the spark in the dark, the start of a journey to kindle the heart. Lay down the cornerstone, start where you stand, seek the unspoken with an open hand. The Logos walks with you, the way and the light through the questions and shadows. You'll find God tonight. Oh, the path is the truth, and the truth is the call. With the infamous promise, you'll rise, never fall. Job stood in wonder, his heart torn apart. God's voice like thunder, yet soft as a spark. Where's the foundation who measured the skies? The questions uncovered, the truth in disguise. The rhetoric calls to the seekers who roam, to walk with the Logos and find their way home. The enthymous power, it's the gap you must fill. A whisper of wisdom that bends to your will. It's the voice in the quiet, the step you must take, the journey to knowledge for your own soul's sake. Lay down the cornerstone, start where you stand. Seek the unspoken with an open hand. The Logos walks with you, the way and the light. Through the questions and shadows, you'll find God tonight. Oh, the path is the truth, and the truth is the call. With the end theme is promise, you'll rise, never fall. Every question's a stone, every doubt's a new road. The Logos beside you to carry the load. Not in the answers, but the spaces between. The truth lies in silence, where the heart remains clean. From Job's humble questions to the cross in the sky, the way is the journey where the soul learns to fly. Lay down the cornerstone, start where you stand. Seek the unspoken with an open hand. The Logos walks with you, the way and the light. Through the questions and shadows, you'll find God tonight. Oh, the path is the truth, and the truth is the call. With the end theme is promise, you'll rise, never fall. So ask and keep asking, let the questions unfold. The cornerstone's laid in the stories retold. With Jesus beside you, the word ever near. The unsaid will guide you through the silence you'll hear. Lay down the cornerstone, let the journey begin. True knowledge awaits where the heart lets God in.